let me share my screen. Most frequently asked question, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So let me get back all the way to the front. So we have been talking about this a long time today already. I've been listening a little bit about lean, but Primavera Netherlands, if you look at our name, is a long-time Primavera partner, a long-time Oracle partner. And with the introduction, which I'm going to do later, of Oracle Primavera Cloud, lean became part of the Primavera landscape. And I want to talk today, of course, about lean, but also about the integration of lean and critical path, which is traditional in scheduling, how those two can work together very, very well. Some slides about us. Primanet Europe, and nowadays with several subsidiaries all around Europe, some bigger than the other, headquarters still in Rotterdam. Antwerp is a big subsidiary from a sister organization to the more the south, where Primanet from Rotterdam focuses more on north and east. So also with our DACH office in Frankfurt, but now let's say we're in Norway today. I hope I put the error right, but we are also very much in active duty in the Nordics, in Sweden, in Denmark, in Norway, etc. So for us, the Nordics is a very interesting part. Primanet is a consulting organization, but also a software implementer and a software reseller. But we like to steer on what's called the PM star, which is, let me go to the next one, were our areas of expertise, or as PMI calls them, knowledge areas, is about time, cost, and scope, which is the original golden triangle from our education, but also risks and resources are now more and more, let's say, critical or more crucial to getting your schedule up and running in time, sticking within the budget, because a resource locally or a resource remote might have a big impact on cost, for example, or on risk. So the strength of all these solutions is in integration, and I think that's where lean also comes into play. And the traditional scheduler shouldn't be pushing activities to the people who are actually doing the work, and that's where you see the last planner principle, a very strong upcoming trend. I don't know, 20 software resellers today, and in the next couple of weeks in this presentation schedule. So lean, for example, is a very upcoming. How do we see, and I'm going to have some PowerPoint slides first and then a small live demo, because our time is scarce. I'm aiming for 15 minutes with a couple of questions maybe, but let's try to be in time. Typically, you see in the top what we call a level 1 schedule. We're talking about critical path scheduling. It's the milestone summary. It's a summary schedule where we have big activities, building the engineering phase, the execution phase, there are contract milestones, etc. And then where level 2 and level 3, the deeper you go in your levels, the more detailed there are coming in, where we are trying to load this schedule with risks or costs or resources, etc. So the deeper you come in, the more detailed you will become. And at the end, at the level, let's say level 4, level 5, we are getting used to physical sticky notes, putting them on the board. And my previous speakers already said, what if you lose one? What if you change one? And who is going to track the history, the changes, etc.? That's a little bit where the danger becomes if you unconnect the critical path schedule level 2, level 3, and the lean schedule level 4, level 5. For example, also, what if I move, and now I'm going to move this in a PowerPoint slide and later in a real life demo, what if I am going to move this purple sticky note, which has an effect on the red activity, or it becomes a red activity because our baseline is the yellow, that's our contract milestone or our contract schedule. What happens? If you don't have those two kind of schedules, which at the end is one version of the truth, connected, probably you will have two different versions. Look at it like two different Excel sheets. If you don't communicate or connect those two schedules together, there will be something happening which you don't want. So what you actually want to do is, okay, what's the impact of my level 4 change into a level 2 or 3, or even, and we have of course made a worst case scenario, this activity pushes my final milestone, which is critical, that's why it's red, over my critical path. So at the end, we won't deliver in time because maybe a very simple change in something. So we need to talk to the work owner, to the work package owner, maybe escalate this to management, maybe we need more resources, etc. But if you have this not connected or integrated to each other, this will be a lot of emails, a lot of communication, and we need to show this internally how we do this. Well, let's try to switch to where Oracle comes into play. And let me first show you this side. So the Oracle Construction Engineering Global Industry Unit, which is the vertical of the applications, which is focusing on physical projects from an owner perspective or a contractor perspective or a delivery team perspective, or even from a governmental perspective, which has some different parts to the equation in servicing these clients. That construction engineering global business unit started with the acquisition of Primavera all the way in the top, and then having more acquisitions, but also where we are going to talk about is the build of Oracle Primavera Cloud, which includes many of the functionalities, and these are literally software boxes. We have them in our office in Rotterdam, the traditional P3 boxes and software boxes we used to know from the old days. And on the other hand, where we are looking for functionality or solutions within our knowledge areas. So P6 helps us on managing time and scope. Oracle Primavera Risk Analysis, the acquisition of Perkmeister, helps us on risk, for example. Unifier is more focused on project, cost control, etc., etc. And with the building or the foundation of the Oracle Primavera solution, we're going to show later, is being the, let's say, the birth of the integrated project controls environment, for example, where we have schedule and Monte Carlo integrated into one solution, into one user interface, into one workflow, where if something changes, for example, a change in schedule, it might trigger a workflow where somebody else from another department might need to look at what has changed, what's the impact on my risk register, on my resource capacity, because if I'm finishing late for a week, I need a whole pool of resources 1 week longer or later than originally planned. And maybe the next project in my program or in my portfolio might be impacted. So the whole responsibility from the project controls team is to mitigate and to seek for solutions, how to optimize the schedule, the resource capacity, etc. Let's jump. I think I'm almost halfway through my presentation and my time. Let's jump into the original tool. So I learned, show the last thing first. If we are changing a sticker or a sticky note, it means I am recommitting a task in my responsibility. And sometimes that's no problem for the rest, but sometimes it's also a problem for the rest. So I'm looking from the outside in, why are we, for example, missing commitments? Because we are tracking, and I think all my other speakers today will have the same philosophy, are tracking the changes and the missed reasons, for example, for a commitment. We can have a very comprehensive insight in the project controls data. Why are we missing so many commitments? Because the guys at the work are literally saying, okay, I cannot do this today. Probably I'm going to do that tomorrow. And because of, and in this case, in this dashboard, materials not available. this might be a trigger to the procurement department to say, okay, our supply chain is missing something because we have planned to do a scaffolding, but it's not available. Dear Mr. Supplier of scaffolding, the promise was that on Monday morning, 7 o'clock, a big lorry full of scaffolding equipment was ready. Now we need to change things. I am going to, well, build a claim is maybe a very exhaustive example, but we need to keep looking at why are we missing these kind of stuff? Weather delay, equipment not available, whatever, whoever, but it's something we can learn from all the detailed data acquiring we are doing with the changing of the schedule. Also, you can look at it from a company perspective or a contractor perspective or from a date perspective, different kind of interconnectivity, slicing and dicing into the data which is built by changing that sticky note. Well, how does that sticky note look like? This is a schedule. This is a work plan built of all the bars are my typical schedules. I'm going to show a little bit later from the Gantt chart for my Primavera P6 integrated into OPC, because OPC has all the scheduling capabilities of Primavera P6 in the Oracle Primavera Cloud solution, which is hosted on the cloud infrastructure. So my bars literally are the activities, level 2, level 3, because the level 4 are not built by the scheduler, but are built by the last planner. For pouring a concrete, we need to do something in the preparation, we need to pour it, we need to check it, we need some documentation, we might need some pictures, etc., etc. Maybe even not by one company, but maybe by different companies. In this case, every color means a discipline or a department or a company, and sometimes we have people working in our organization, sometimes we have people working outside of our organization. That's what you can do in this case on a discipline level. So if my Gantt chart is changing, I will see the impact, or if my last planner schedule, my sticky notes are changing, we also can see the impact. If I click on such a sticky note, a digital sticky note, a task in OPC, I can see information which I would like to see. So this is assigned by our work preparator. She is working, in this case, for the Primanet BV contractor. It has not been committed. It had not been completed. It has an error in it. It's causing something in an error because there is a constraint, or let's go into that deeper. Maybe it's an activity name, etc., which I would like to see. If I need more information, I can click the open in a new window button, and then I can have more information. But this is actually it could have been a physical sticky note on the wall, which I can move. Let me show you another example where I have more work finished, for example, already. This is a cleaner view. This is a bigger view, and this is the 6-week in Dutch. Sorry for that. Look ahead, where we can see what is it causing. So let me show you. In this case, you see this dotted line, which actually means that this sticky note has been extended over the weekend even, but has been extended in such a degree that it's impacting my activity. So the scheduler has an error, and we'll show it later, that he or she needs to look at it. Can this activity even start? Are we on the critical path? Do I need to escalate this to another department, etc.? So with one view, I literally can integrate a critical path schedule, which is a front-loaded or whatever you want to call it, but it's a deterministic schedule which can be built by lean methodology, by last planner, which is more flexible. It doesn't need to have relations as long as it's fixed within the critical path and as long as there are no driving relationships. So sometimes the people in the field can better determine how this is impacting the schedule. Last 4 minutes, I want to show this, how this literally looks, because everybody is saying drag and drop, but nobody is believing that always. So I'm going to show you a live version. This is Oracle Primavera Cloud. Can everybody see my web browser?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, okay. So this might look familiar, might look overwhelming. This is a Primavera schedule, not built in P6, but in Oracle Primavera Cloud with the WBS phases in this case. It's a renovation of the top floor where I have quarterly milestones. So I have an extra way of filtering and sorting, where I have milestones, where I have activities from the 23rd of September to the 27th of September. I need to do something. In this case, I need to make the wooden beams. It has an activity ID. It has all the information which we should have been seeing in Oracle Primavera P6. It might have resources. It should have, not might. It's a necessity. It needs to have relationships because we're looking in a critical path schedule, which needs to be closed. It needs to be a closed network. In my other tab, I have the same schedule. So I can see this wall installation, PH0220. Sorry for the switching. That's also in here, wall installation, etc. 18th of October, 26th of October. So I literally can see what are we doing. Let's look at the rubber coating. I can commit this. I am the rubber coating guy. I put my sticker over there and I am committed because this needs to be done next week, for example. It should have been done 2 weeks ago. Data is always late, but I am committed to do this. Something happens for the reason missed, etc., that I need to move this activity, and I'm extending this because we're not working on Saturday and Sunday. It's still 2 work days because of my calendar, but it's over the weekend. So it starts on Friday, finishes on Monday, and some stuff happens. There's a dotted line in here. So if I look back at the schedule, so the scheduler gets a notification. And the good thing about working in a web-based environment, I always need to push F5 to refresh this. But every click I do, of course, is also a refreshment. But in this case, I need to push F5. What we see in this activity, there is an exclamation mark right now. So something is, and there's only one task in this activity, something is causing me to look at this. And looking is not very important. And on the other hand is looking for disaster. We want to see what kind of impact does this have. So the scheduler now is notified, and see how many demos I'm giving, is now notified that there is a problem with this. This might need some investigation. Maybe he says, well, there's enough room for that activity to extend it. There is float, there is management reserve, etc. But this is triggering not by an email or by a call. This is triggering the scheduler to look at this. Also, I might need to make a recommitment. I am recommitting to my due date of 28th of October. Why am I doing this? Of course, we've seen this in the earlier. The rubber coat is not there yet. Recommit, nothing happens, but it's tracking something there. Your procurement department in this case can say, okay, dear Mr. Rubber Coat supplier, why are you doing this? That's a little bit the idea where we want to have all kind of project controls, and this is an admin view to everything I have. I have my schedule, I have my risk, etc., but it's tied into one and to another. That's where the power of integration and project control is within the power of Lean, because this is a very powerful, let's say, way of working. But with the tooling of Oracle within the Smart Construction platform, they have managed to integrate Primavera scheduling engine, literally, with the power of Last Planner or Lean scheduling in this case. It's working really, and what I see right now in the Benelux, for example, if BAM contractors or Duravmeer or any other contractor delivers a trailer, there's a big touch wall in there where instead of 5 years ago, big printed PDFs with a lot of sticky notes, and when the door was opening, all sticky notes were on the ground and nobody knew where they were. I have a track record. So I can literally go back in time as well. How did this look like 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago? Because I want to see that. But sometimes things happen in our industry where I want to look at it. How did it look in January? Because now we have a claim, for example, and we want to show that in January there was not a claim, and these trigger events at the end made this claim not our responsibility, but for the weather, which is insured, or for a contractor, etc. So with this data over the time, and not trying to, and sometimes we need to build data warehouses to combine different data, but within the smart construction platform, everything is interconnected. I heard a lot of questions about BIM. I don't know where I am in time. I think 2 minutes, if I'm correct.
Yes, you're correct. 2 more minutes.
I heard a lot of questions about how does it integrate with BIM. What we see, and I didn't prepare that, what we see within the smart construction platform, we have a product called Aconex. Aconex is a familiar product for the most project controls people. It's a document transmittal communication management tool, which is not a competitor of SharePoint, but it's on a project-related level. So imagine this was an engineering. We're going to build a new fabrication. We have the feed phase, we have the engineering phase, etc. And for example, building or engineering a machine, etc., there's a big activity on engineering. The engineering of this machine will take us 5 weeks, but within that we need maybe 5 documents. We need a drawing, how does it look like? We need a P&ID, we need an installation manual, etc., which are iterative. I need to make it, somebody needs to review it, I need to submit it, it needs to be approved by the vendor, for example. So imagine that could be all tasks, sticky notes, integrated into the BIM viewer, for example, of Aconex, where I can literally see my document in BIM, submit it to a review, etc. And when I have done that through the integration layer, my task is finished. When I move this sticky note, the task or the document in Aconex or in my BIM solution will have a different due date. So also the BIM connectivity between the drawing, which is typically in a CAD program, etc., can be viewed in Aconex because there might be 50 or more metadata fields to that actual drawing. And it has a relationship now in for the engineering part to submit a document or to submit a drawing, but also later when we are in executing phase, I can literally connect an object from my BIM model to a task in my OPC schedule, and for example, to the transmitted manual or the transmitted maintenance contract in Aconex. And that's where the integration again from BIM transmittal or communication management or whatever name you want to give to the document management solution, and my scheduling tool, because nobody is going to schedule documents in P6, but if you have this in a literally agile way or in a lean way, we see that the task module from OPC is connected out of the box to Aconex, and then there are BIM viewers, for example, to AutoCAD or Revit or any other BIM model viewer. So that's a very interesting point to take, I think, where OPC has a very strong lean scheduling engine, but not just the strength from the lean scheduling engine is in OPC, it's the integration with, let's say, the critical path schedule, the Monte Carlo analysis, but also, for example, within the smart construction platform to Aconex or to any other solution. Just in time.
Just in time. Thanks, Paul.